Bette Sussman here at Bette's Diner. Okay, so Mark Rivera, our guest today. I couldn't be more excited. We've been friends for 30 plus years. So Mark's first national exposure came when he was in the band Tycoon. And he met with producer Robert John Mutt Lang, who was a big producer at the time. And he introduced Mark to Mick Jones and to Lou Gramm from Foreigner and brought him into the band. So now all of a sudden, poof, Mark's in Foreigner. Okay, putting Mark squarely in the big leagues of rock music recording and performing. Quite honestly, I thought that when Mark was in the Bette Sussman band in 1980, that's what really catapulted his career. But clearly other people see it differently, but that's their problem, isn't it? Mark met Ringo Starr in the 90s. He became his musical director. He played on Sledgehammer with Peter Gabriel. There's a whole slew which we'll talk about with Mark. No need for me to talk about it in advance. But what I would like to talk about is some stuff that people don't know about Mark Rivera. Like, as passionate as Mark is about his music, he takes great pride being on the board of directors for Give an Hour, this helping returning veterans with PTSD, as well as joining Scott Shannon from CBS FM at the Blythedale Children's Hospital and most recently working with the Summit Speech School. It's just the way of never forgetting where you come from, says Mark Rivera. Now, what I have discovered also, like in my research about Mark Rivera, is that there's a publication called CelebrityNetWorth.com. And it says that Mark's net worth is $20 million. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the $1 Million Man, Mark Rivera.
Gotta keep my honey, but her money's all been spent. Of that dirty stuff, I want it. Why would I want money if I have $20 million?
Exactly. I don't understand this at all. Okay, Mark. So, Mark Rivera, Puerto Rican Italian. What are you cooking today, Mark? We're making some spaghetti meatballs. We're gonna make some
Arroz con pollo, habichuelas.
Arroz con pollo. What are we making?
Baby bok choy with shiitake mushrooms and some cod. I think that's something Puerto Ricans eat all the time.
Cod. Well, the bacala?
Bacala, que fa!
Hey. Okay, so what we need for this dish is some fresh cod.
Mm-hmm. Shiitake mushrooms.
Shiitake mushrooms. Can you see that? Our shiitakes.
The aforementioned baby bok choy.
Okay, and we're going to show you how it all gets prepared. We need and soba noodles.
Soba noodles, yes.
Soba noodles.
Fish sauce. Fish sauce rules. And
this is not an Italian or a Puerto Rican dish.
Well,
No.
Sriracha. No.
Hot. It's hot.
Hot and spicy. I'm going to tell you some stories about Bette that she forgot.
Oh my goodness.
Or when she was going on about how my career did this and that, she doesn't even know how much of a part of it she was on a couple of particular calls that I got.
Really?
Did you not know this, right?
I don't know.
Two things
Well,
in
first,
particular.
before you say anything, let's first of all let's tell
Cut
them.
the onions.
Mark and I cut our teeth together in town. We definitely came up together at the same time. We played with every singer-songwriter in town.
Correct.
Together. And then in 1980, I had been working with Dick Wagner. So Dick and I became really good friends, and we decided to put a band together. And that I was going to be a rock and roller. I was going to have my own rock and roll band. And so we put a band together. Dick and I wrote the entire album specifically for this show, and Rico, as I call him.
Sugar Rico, which is a nickname Yogi Horton gave me, and I keep very dearly.
We keep Yogi's nicknames, and Yogi.
Oh, this is Cutter.
I'm Cutter, because he used to tell me that he used to call me Cutter because he said my nose looked like a butter
cutter.
A butter cutter.
So she's Cutter, I'm Sugar.
Okay, so Mark, I just got the onion
Okay.
peeled away. Just show them what you mean about keeping it intact.
Now we're on to the shiitake mushrooms. We're going to chop them up a little bit so they cook nicely. They saute beautifully, so they can saute separately first. Okay.
So we've cleaned our mushrooms. We've wiped them all down. We've cut up some of them, but we're going to show you how we cut them. Mark, shall we? So now let's do the onions. Let's do the garlic, rather.
Garlic. Well, the garlic, as you pointed out, you should smash.
Okay, here's how you do the garlic. Here's the easiest way to cut garlic, okay? To get that skin off in one fell swoop.
Swoop.
There you go.
Fabulous.
You just...
Done. And into the bowl.
Gone into the bowl. Okay, so now we have already peeled the other garlics. So shall we?
Chop up a couple, but we're going to leave quite a few because I love garlic. And the only thing left to prepare would be the fish.
The cod. Now, Mark Rivera, who's been in Billy Joel's band for 36 years. And he's about to do his 100th performance with Billy, which is at Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
What a gig, right? Who that's like...
Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk? A dream gig with Billy Joel and Mark Rivera. This is a beautiful piece of Atlantic cod that I bought yesterday at the farmer's market. This was probably in the water Saturday. So we have a beautiful fresh piece. Now, Mark, how do you want to cut these?
You want it to cook in the broth. So you don't want it...
You didn't know there was going to be a broth, did you?
Well, that's what it's going to cook in. I mean, the other thing is a lot of people think you cook the fish separate. Once this broth, between the garlic and onions and the shiitakes and the bok choy are all set, this just lays in that broth, and that's where it gets even more flavor.
Who knew that you knew about broth and flavor and, hey...
I'll tell you what, if Sandra played piano, she'd be a person. My wife is an amazing cook, as you know. But she doesn't...
I haven't had a meal cooked by your wife in way too many years.
Well, then you got to come to the house. That'll be the next thing.
I do.
Her father was an amazing cook, and I watched and listened and learned.
I mean, that's how we all do it. We're not professionals here. We are not professionals, but we don't play one on TV, but we love to do it because we love music. It's creative. We love food. It's creative, and we love to eat. I mean, who doesn't love to eat?
Nobody I know.
Nobody I know doesn't love to eat. Okay, what we always do here at Bette's Diner is we have the meal blessed by my people.
Wow.
Synagogue.
Did you have that brought in?
They brought that in after I moved in.
Central casting.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So now I'm gonna get out of your way, Mark, because Mark is now going to cook the shiitakes. Okay, so we've got the mushrooms going, those beautiful, beautiful shiitakes.
And then we need to get this going. This we need hot. We'll put some olive oil in that, and then we're going to put our onion and garlic. We'll get them nice and brown. So this is where the baby bok choy are going to live and steam and form the broth along with the shiitake mushrooms. And that's where the fish is going to groove in. It's going to be floating in there. Fabulous stuff. Beautiful. One of my favorite sounds.
It's a beautiful sound.
And these are going to fry up a little more.
Now, Mark, I want to talk about a common bond.
A common bond.
Mark Rivera, let me just tell you something. I know Mark literally since we were kids. We were in our 20s when we met.
That's correct.
And, he was just always so talented. He could do, like you just said, he plays saxophone, he sings, he writes. It's like, Mark, when are you going to do a record? Mark, when are you going to do a record? Mark, when are you going to do a record? Well, it might have taken him a little bit long, but good things come to those who wait, is all I can say. Because if you haven't heard Common Bond, you need to go get it, because it's a fantastic record. And it definitely shows a lot of Mark's influences. And I'd like to, speaking of Mark's influences, okay, Mark, Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Beatles. This will blow your mind. Someone asked me the other day, if Jimi Hendrix was playing and the Beatles were playing the same night, what would you go to see?
Gee, my next question was going to be about a Jimi Hendrix reference. But
okay, well, good.
You're going to ask me, who would I go to see? I would have gone to see Hendrix.
Fucking A.
Because, I never saw, unfortunately, I never got to see Hendrix live, I never got to see the Beatles live, but, I got to hear so much more Beatles than Hendrix anyway, because the longevity thing, you know, like Jimmy died very young. But, okay, now, influences. Jimi Hendrix, Steve Winwood.
I'd say split down the middle.
It's a good question,
No, perfect question, because 67 Hendrix put out 2 records, Are You Experienced and Axis Bold as Love. 67 Traffic formed. In 67 Stevie Winwood had both Spencer Davis Group and Traffic on the charts the same year. So those two were like, I mean, I wanted to be Chris Wood and Stevie Winwood, but I definitely thought someday I was going to be Jimi Hendrix, but that didn't pan out. Keep some of the water.
Oh, this is amazing. What? Mark, it smells awesome. And it's, once again, it's garlic and onions, folks. No, okay.
Want to pass me the fish sauce?
Sure. Fish sauce. Oh, hello. So,
Fish sauce.
Question.
What
was your favorite place to tour, place to gig? All the places you've been.
Well, I have to say Madison Square Garden because I can go home that night. But I love Australia. I really do love Australia.
Where? Let's be specific.
My favorite place in Australia is a place called Noosa. But that's some place nobody knows about. Wait
a minute. Nobody? Kate McAuley.
Well, I'm sorry.
I know about it.
I'm not calling you Kate. I'm not calling you nobody. But Noosa is way up outside of Brisbane.
Can I just say something about Kate McAuley, by the way?
Yes, you should.
Is that Kate, her experience, besides being an author, she traveled all over Europe with, basically all over the world with a bunch of different chefs, cooking, photographing food, and that's right, that's Kate McAuley, y'all.
Thanks,
now,
guys.
We're
what are we
talking
doing?
about Australia, because
Yes.
Kate is Australian.
Yes.
Are we done with these?
I'm going to put these in here.
Oh.
Again, everything, we're just making more of a...
More flavor. There was, he sauteed the mushrooms a little bit. He didn't even saute them. He basically steamed them in a little bit of olive oil. But mushrooms have so much water that they're able to cook like that without completely crisping up, right?
You pass me Sriracha?
Sriracha? Check him out.
Everything is starting to meld together nicely. The garlic. You don't see the onion, but they're in there. And this is our base, or the sauce that the fish will actually cook right in here. Every gig, well, the reason you and I think we have the success we have is because we never phoned anything, and we'd be playing with like Monstar. We took the gig like it meant something. You play in front of like 12 people, and 6 of them were white.
Monty Farber he's talking about.
Monty Farber.
Which was a gig that Mark and I played also. Yogi was in that band too.
Yeah, Yogi's in everything.
Oh my God.
Was there a girl named Amy?
There probably was a girl named Amy.
But
a memorable gig that I remember that Mark and I shared was we were at Trax, and we were playing with a singer-songwriter at the time named Bruce Carroll.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And we do the gig with Bruce, and that was fine. We had a great time. And then go back into the office, as we often did after the show or before the show, into JP's office. That's Jimmy Pullis, who owned JP's and Trax.
Right.
And, everybody wanted, may he rest in peace, yes. Everybody wanted to be around JP. But, so James Taylor was in the office, who was always around. James and Jimmy were very good friends. And so James, and I had met James a number of times in JP's or Trax. So he turns to me and he says, "Hey, Bet, do you want to jam? You want to play?" I said,
"No, I don't have time, James.
No, I'm a little busy. I got to do my soccer drill in the morning." So I said, "Of course." He says, "See if everybody, the guys want to play." So of course I ask Yogi and I ask Mark, and everybody wants to play. And so James then says, "All right, I'm going to call Joni up, see if she wants to come down and sing." I'm like,
Joni Schwartz?
Like Joni Miller? No, Joni Mitchell is who he called. We jammed. We played till 8:30 in the morning.
Do you remember one of the songs we did?
Yeah.
Sailor.
We did Sailor? A song of mine called Sailors. Also, so
Three-part harmony with
James Taylor and Joni Mitchell. Okay, so that was the night I think that we came up with the background parts for Every Day. Every day things are getting stronger. Exactly, whatever the lyric is. But that's when he gave us the parts to sing every day, yeah, yeah. So that's what we're singing. Me, Mark, and Joni Mitchell are singing every day, yeah, yeah. Okay, so, and then we finish doing that song, and then we start playing one of my songs, It Don't Matter If You Run.
Oh,
and I mean, I've got tapes of Joni Mitchell and James Taylor singing backgrounds on one of my songs.
After a Bruce Carroll gig.
After Bruce Carroll gig, and it was a pretty amazing night. So we are ready to put our cod in. Look at this cod; it's really beautiful.
Before I
It's
forget,
so
we
fresh.
need a little salt and pepper because we have not done that at all. We might need a little more, but again,
It's easier to add than take away.
Yes.
Boy, that looks good, Mark.
It's gonna happen, sweetie.
It took me creating a show to get Mark Rivera to cook a meal for me. And we're such good friends.
To get me in your kitchen, baby.
Ooh. Come on into my kitchen.
Because it's going to be rain outside. 49 reasons.
So, back to Common Bond.
Yes.
So, tell me about how that all started, besides the fact that it's something that you wanted to do for a really long time.
Well, Jimmy Braylauer, my dear friend and producer and co-writer, said, you got to do a record. And I'm like, a record. It's, then you got to do a list and that. How's that look to you, Kate?
It's
Delicious.
fantastic.
So all this is going on, and he says, you should do a record because, and all the reasons I didn't want to do it. It took forever to do it because you piecemeal things together. But frankly, it was really a case of me going on certain influences, and obviously I covered a Jimi Hendrix song, so that was one influence. And the people got to play on the record: Ringo, Steve Lukather, Billy. It was just my way of saying, okay, I'm not just this guy playing sax and Billy Joel. I sang. In fact, they played the record for somebody. Said, well, who's singing? I said, it's my record. Who do you think is singing? Well, who's singing lead vocals?
Incredible singer,
Well,
Mark Rivera.
Well, the thing is that people don't know.
Right. Well, I'm so glad that you finally did the record. Mark, so what are you doing now? You just
Just getting some of the broth onto the fish. I mean, it's cooking in there, but you just want it to.
You want it to permeate the
See
fish,
that?
the broth. Yeah, gorgeous.
That's what-
Gee, Mark, do you need a pot? You need a pot holder?
Pot holder? Ah, get it? Okay.
We're so stupid here at the diner.
And we love it.
Sometimes.
We
We
love-
love it.
Again, as I do have a bit of a head cold, I didn't want to over salt. So that's,
What does over salting have to do with a head cold, Mark?
well, you usually add to taste.
Oh, because you can't taste. I'm your taster.
Okay, so then, if you don't mind,
Do we need to put anything in that water, Mark?
why do you put salt in there?
Let's put salt in that water.
The fish is going to just fall apart.
I'm excited.
Do you have a little cuchara? Spoon?
For taste.
So you can taste the broth. And again,
Okay.
at this point, you can always turn it off. Just take,
Okay, I'm going in to taste the broth. Wow.
It was a good wow.
It's salty from the fish sauce,
Too salty?
spicy from the sriracha. You taste everything. It's delicious.
It's not too salty though, right?
Never too salty.
Noodles are done.
And we're going to put them in the colander.
And they played very nicely.
Okay, so though you would never wash pasta off with water, I would just like add some olive oil just to make sure the noodles don't separate.
These soba noodles,
you
almost
can add.
form paste.
Yeah.
That's how they are. So let's get this in there.
So these go in.
All
Okay.
right. Then the next thing, we'll bring the wok along.
Okay, so we're just gonna pour
It's
this
basically all over.
all over the soba noodles.
And
Oh
Is
my
the
God.
dish. What do you think?
Oh my God, oh my God, look at this dish, yo.
This is yo.
Look at this dish, yo.
And again, the fish, because of how it's cooked, you wouldn't ever cook fish that long, but because it's in the sauce and it's in the broth, it's steaming. This will be like butter.
You know what I find also about codfish? I find that codfish is a very forgiving fish.
True.
For like going over a little bit, like, there's certain fish that would just dry out that you couldn't do this with.
Cod and monk.
Exactly.
Cod and monkfish
They're
are very
meaty.
forgiving.
They're
Good-
meaty
good-
fishes.
It's a good way to put
meaty
it.
fishes? Fish.
Meaty fish.
Meaty fishes.
As
Okay.
fish go, they're very meaty.
Okay, so now I'd like to take this opportunity to give Mark a napkin. I can't wait anymore. Let's get forks. We got plenty of food for y'all. Jesus, I just want to taste soba noodles because I haven't had them in so long. Oh my God. Sexophonist Mark Rivera in the kitchen with me. Unbelievable.
Codfish, baby bok choy, shiitake noodles.
Shiitaki mushrooms.
Shiitake noodles over soba mushrooms.
Wow.
You come out well.
So here we are, we're back with Mark Rivera at the piano. We're going to do a song together. It's been a long time. Well, not that long. We did do a song or two together at your CD release show. But this is very intimate. What song are you going to do?
I'd like to do Love Will Keep Us Alive.
Never mind that. And Mark, you chose Love Will Keep Us Alive to do. How come?
It's one of my favorite songs. It reminds me of how blessed we all are to be surrounded by people we love. And aside from baby bok choy and cod, what we really do need is love that sustains us. And I think it's a beautiful song.
And Baby Bok Choy.
And baby bok choy and shiitake mushrooms.
I love you, Mark.
I love you, Becca.
Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Okay.
One, I was standing all alone against the world outside, and you were searching
awesome. It's Mark Rivera, y'all. It's been a long time since Mark and I sat here and did a duet together.
That's
And that's
correct.
all I can say. And I had a blast. Oh my God, what a fun day.
I love singing.
Oh my God, it was awesome. Okay, so that wraps up our show here today with Mark Rivera on Bette's Diner. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and tell all your friends to hit the subscribe button below. And follow me at Bette's Diner on Instagram, Twitter, and like us on Facebook, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because as you can see, these shows are about to start going up. See ya.
Peace and love.